Thank you, Susan, for reminding us of why we're here. You mentioned this is an extended family, and indeed it is. And families step up when family members need help. And that's exactly what this organization has done for over 100 years. And for that, we are forever grateful. The lives that you touch day in and day out. And you may think we don't see you, but we do. And we are so deeply appreciative of what you do here at Goddard Riverside and other partners like Jacqueline Simone, our policy director for the Coalition of Homeless. I want to thank her for her unwavering commitment to make sure that everyone has the dignity of a roof over their heads. So thank you and all the advocates who are here today. It has been a long journey for many of you, and I thank you for never giving up the fight. You are the ones that the people you're representing look to carry on for them when they're having to deal with whatever adversity the day may bring for them. You are out there as their voices, and I'm grateful for that as well. I'm also grateful for incredible elected leaders that we have in this district, true champions who, again, will make sure that they take an idea that they learn from the community, the people they represent with such heart and soul, and they take that to Albany, and they overcome all the hurdles that exist. And there have been a lot of hurdles over the years to get things done. But the legislature is where the ideas are fermented, and they are developed there, and they get through the process, and they get through hearings, and they get through a vote. And at this point, when it's an opportunity for me to do something which is simply to sign into the law what they did, I say to them, thank you for being such incredible partners. And I'm speaking about, first of all, our senators. Senator Brad Hoylman will be joining, he has joined us, Senator Brad Hoylman, but sponsors of this bill. Brian Kavanaugh, you are a true champion for people in need of housing and insecurity. Thank you, Brian. And our Assembly sponsor, Linda Rosenthal, I know how people feel about their elected leaders here. People don't feel this way all over the state about their elected leaders. I tell you, I've been an elected official for a long time. But when I would walk into a senior center with Linda, even like 7-8 years ago, and it's just like, who's that lieutenant governor? Linda's here. She's a rock star. So thank you for the connection you've made with your community, because that's what we're seeing here is the love you have for your district realized through legislation that we're working on here today. Also great partners like Senator Robert Jackson, a tremendous advocate for this community. I want to thank you for all you do, Senator Jackson. And I mentioned Senator Hoylman as well. Our borough president, Gail Brewer, who is everywhere all day long. What a leader she has been. A true friend. But I also come on, and Danny O'Donnell's here. Danny, thank you for your work in the Assembly. He makes sure that his district is so well represented in our state legislature. Thank you, Danny O'Donnell. And I come out of local government. I was a council member at one point in my life, and I want to thank Steve Levin for all his work, because a lot of this work doesn't get done at the local level. Steve, thank you for what you do here. Before I get started to talk about the issue at hand, which is really the effect of COVID and how it's had such a paralyzing impact on people who are already housing insecure, and has really taken people who are on the edge, and in many cases they dropped off, no fault of their own. Well, let's go back to why this started, some of it in the first place, the additional stresses created by the pandemic that Susan just spoke about, that people who thought they were going to be okay, but all of a sudden they lose a job and they can't make that payment, and all of a sudden everything that they thought was going to be okay collapses before their eyes, no fault of their own. And this happened to literally thousands of New Yorkers. And the good news is that we've had a vaccine in place now, and I commend the 80% of New Yorkers who are vaccinated. That's statewide. New York City is even higher. I thank them. But I have to say, and I've been warning about this for months now, that we saw a trend happening based on what happened last year, that as we enter the winter months and the holiday seasons, from Thanksgiving, people gather together, people gathering with vulnerable members of the family, the older ones, grandparents, aunts and uncles, all the way through the holidays of December and into New Year's, and all the way up even to Super Bowl weekend, places where people gather, indoors primarily. We had predicted that if we didn't get more people vaccinated and ultimately boosted, And now with layering on a new variant, where we have 20 cases in New York, but it spreads very quickly, we're entering a time of uncertainty. And we could either plateau here, or our cases could escalate beyond control. We are staring upward, my friends. I've been watching this closely. We're heading upward in a direction that I find is no longer sustainable. And I've said all along I have two priorities: protect the public health of New Yorkers, but also protect the health of the economy. And one of the reasons we have so many people who are housing insecure and food insecure and are dealing with all the specters of the fallout of the pandemic, mental health crises, suicide is up, addiction, opioid deaths are up. All this is an effect on the human condition because of what we went through in the past. I don't want to go back ever again to that place where people couldn't go to their jobs safely, couldn't congregate, kids couldn't go to schools. That isolation had a devastating effect on the human condition, and we're still dealing with the fallout today. So to avoid that situation, I today am announcing that we are enacting a statewide indoor mask mandate unless a business has a vaccination mandate. Many people in New York City are already dealing with this. Been dealing with it for a while. You've been doing great. And that is why your hospital capacity is good. That's why your vaccination numbers are high. Your infections are not as high as the rest of the state. But the rest of the state now has a wake-up call. I've been warning. I've been saying, if we can't get more people vaccinated or boosted, I have to protect people, but also the economy. I want to make sure that the little businesses that were hurt so hard during the pandemic and has shut down, resulting in their loss of income, but the loss of income of all the people who work for them, we have to prevent that from happening. And that's why just this morning I announced that we're taking that action statewide, and I wanted you to hear that here, and I'll be answering questions on that shortly. So we draw that connection. Thank you. Thank you. My plan is to make it temporary. It starts on Monday. We'll reassess on January 15th, just so businesses have clarity. They don't find out at the last minute. We've been talking to businesses throughout the week to make sure they know what's happening.